Before I address the question, it is probably best that I start at the very top. What is Commedia dell'arte? Translated, Commedia dell'arte simply means comedy of the artists. Sacre bleu! According to John Rudlin, this form of theatre started in Italy during the 16th century. In case you didn't know, this is also the home of the Romans, the Leaning Tower of Pisa, and spaghetti bolognese. Actors that performed in Commedia dell'arte often improvised around a predetermined plot using stock characters. Later on, playwrights were influenced by the stock characters within Commedia dell'arte. Most notably was William Shakespeare.
As I've already mentioned, the stock characters within Commedia dell'arte are probably the most important thing. Now, there are plenty of them. You have the Zanni, who is the servant type person, usually an arlecchino. You have the old man, usually known as Pantalone, rich, pompous, old and fat. You have the lovers, or in Italian, the innamorati, the male and the female who are obsessed with each other, usually don't know how to do anything else but. And you've got Il Capitano, you'll learn a lot about him in a minute. Colombina and other ones like Pedrolina, Pulcinella, la la la, can't say all of these words because they're Italian. All of this information is in this book, Commedia dell'arte An Actors Handbook by John Rudlin. I'll be looking at this very closely when talking about my character Craig and relating him to the stock characters of Commedia dell'arte. The captain and Craig share many similarities, not least to mention there's certain arrogance about themselves, especially when boasting. Now, there is one similarity that stands out above all of the rest, and that's their walk.
Ollie Crick claims that the captain usually walks with one hand in the air and the other on his hip. Craig, being an overly camp homosexual, does exactly that. And he also does other overly camp homosexual things, like what you see right now.
John Rudlin also explains that Il Capitano often screams and panics in a womanly fashion when frightened. Now, this is very similar to Craig. In one scene during the production of The Death of Me, Craig has to explain something to his boss, who isn't very happy. Craig ends up running around the stage, having a panic attack, screaming like a little girl.
Craig also shares similar attributes with that of the male lover from Commedia dell'arte. The lovers are described by John Rudlin as always wearing the latest fashion. Craig is also very up to date with fashion. He has to be, as this is his career choice.
Franz Steiner Verlag describes the lovers as boastful baboons. Now, Craig Castanera is definitely one of those. He doesn't stop going on about how amazing he is at his job, and constantly shows people his portfolio of work in the most inappropriate situations.
According to ShaneArts.com, the Doctor likes to make crude sexual jokes. Craig is constantly making rude sexual innuendos throughout The Death of Me, and even goes one step further when he shows some customers a picture of a lady's vagina that he recently vajazzled.
To conclude, my character from the Commedia Showtime presentations, Craig Castanera, shares attributes with several of the Commedia dell'arte stock characters. One of those is the captain, or Il Capitano, and just like the captain, Craig is arrogant, he is up himself, he is very camp, screams like a woman. Also, Craig shares attributes with the male lover, the innamorati. He loves himself, checks himself out in the mirror all the time. He's very flamboyant. And finally, he shares his crude streak with the Doctor, saying his sexual innuendos and sexual jokes in the most inappropriate places. So, thank you for watching my presentation.